Good morning, everyone. Today is December the 3rd at 8:41 a.m. and this is the Master Plan Committee meeting. And I'll just do a roll call of the members present. Karen Clement.
Here.
Don Hayes.
Here.
Cynthia Donovan Schuster.
Mute. You're on mute, Cindy.
Here.
Thanks. And I'm Kim Craven. I'm present, and we also are joined by Beth Faxton today, and we are going to roll through some of the changes from last night's meeting. But before that, I had sent over the minutes from Bill from the last meeting. Did everyone have a chance to just see those? And if not, I can, it's just a few lines. Does everyone want me to read them quickly?
Yeah, I had missed them. So.
Okay. So minutes for the master plan. In attendance was me, Karen, Don, and Bill. The meeting was called to order at 8:40. Karen moved to accept the minutes as amended from 11:05. Don seconded, and it passed unanimously. We reviewed the present, or Kim reviewed the present status. The planning board changed the meeting at which they reviewed our latest draft to Thursday, November 18th. Kim was unable to attend, so Bill attended. We discussed their request for a modification of the demographics breakdown and how to break down the groups. We decided to hold off on a final decision until we see their data. We also discussed adding a section on the overview of the Community Preservation Act. We went through the suggested edits from the planning board. We discussed issues on the maintenance of town buildings and some edits to the water chapter. We discussed the renewable energy section. We will send the modifications to the document to the planning board for the meeting tonight, Monday, November 22nd, 2021. Bill Rideout moved to allow Kim to make non-substantial edits to the document before the next meeting. Karen seconded, and it passed. Next meeting is scheduled for Friday, December 3rd, 2021 at 8:30. Bill Rideout moved to close the meeting at 9:25. Don seconded, and it passed.
Okay, only one change. Spelling of my name on the accepting of the minutes. So second.
Oh, yeah, there's an N in there.
Yep.
Okay. We can correct that. Any other changes?
I move to accept the minutes with the one change that Don mentioned.
Okay.
I will second.
Thank you. All in favor? Karen?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Cynthia?
You got a head nod.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm in favor as well. So it passes. So let me just save those changes. Okay. So just sort of general discussion. As promised, Bill had sent over the paragraph for the Community Preservation Act. So that's been inserted into the whole document. And those minor typographical changes and where we had the source embedded in the table in some spots, it was brought down from below. And last night, I was able to join about 20 minutes or so into the meeting. I'll let Don and Beth can kind of fill in anything that happened before I was there, and then we can just take up the edits that they suggested. Don, I don't know if you want to share screen.
I can share. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. We forgot to ask Hartley that in the beginning, so I'm not sure if he can pop back in and make that happen or not. If not, we'll just have to go with
Kim, I just did. I just
okay.
Let Don become co-host so he can screen share.
Okay, thank you, Hartley.
Okay, we'll get rid of some things. Okay, so this, I'm not gonna bother downloading this. We don't care about it much. So I just, if I started at the top, I just reviewed all comments. And hit the next. The first one, we're coming to the Harbor Trace well. There was a word went in there is now not, and it should be now. Yep.
Yeah, I got that one fixed.
Okay. Yep. You want me to do anything with it, or do you?
After the meeting, if you leave it as it is, and after the meeting, just send it to me, and I'll cross-reference them.
Yep.
But as long as you know you've given the permission for the typographical ones to be changed out of session. So if we kind of review the ones that are, more discussion, things that we might have to change whole sentences or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. We can do this. Yeah. Wait, sorry. It's like the panel's not coming up. But, yeah. There we go. That might help. Oh, this was okay. So this was just the notation and the comment in there of where the next starting point was going to be. Okay.
Okay.
So and this is probably about the only one you may have missed when we were talking in the economic development area. We had talked about Airbnb and looking at planning board potential changes because to support right now it's by exception, I believe, that people can get the Airbnb. Sorry, I don't see it on my screen. Let's see if we can get to the.
Okay, and was there a thought that we should change it to, owner rented, and then in parentheses, for example, Airbnb, vacation rental by owner, things like that?
It was a little, it was more the spillover that if we take the Airbnb in VRBO or Verbo, that people might be holding on to houses and using them for that purpose for revenue generators rather than putting them on the market as housing that would be available for purchase. It's kind of, so I think it was that the conversation was around that, and so Lance was looking for a little bit of backup. Was the town actually looking for that maybe to be one of the approved, or when we, I'm sorry, it's kind of when we had the survey. In the survey, do we have any supporting? And it was like I was trying to think of the approved. We had done the question with what should be approved in residential areas. But I think as I read the master plan, this was more geared towards changing the Airbnb mostly in the center of town more than the rest of. Well,
and when we talk about the economic development and the spinoff from Indian Hill, yes, I came in right when Lance was mentioning the accommodations in Groton and that there's accommodations in Littleton. And there are, but given that, we have a 1,000 seat venue literally around the corner from us, that the need for housing folks that come in for temporary stays in combination with the 2 private schools, that there is an opportunity to get people staying in town. And so when it comes to economic development, if there's folks that are staying here, they might go shop in our stores. They might be, inclined to eat in our restaurants. As we've talked about, that, the restaurants in Groton, it's tough to get in there, on a weekend they are packed. So that would, provide some support to our restaurants, which, would be helpful to them. Extra people shopping, whether it be at Hannaford's or Evans or the hardware store, at Apple Meadow, whatever store that people want to go to, the more people that are here, the more opportunity we have.
Right.
So yes, there's need for housing, but there's also need to, look at the economic development piece of it. So I think they go hand in hand, and absent any, bylaws around it, people are free to do this. I think it behooves the town to take some time to really take a look at it. And, we boast that we have all this outdoor recreation. If we want people to come use that recreation, having opportunities for people to rent out space in their home, Airbnb, some people do it on weekends just that they're away themselves, or weeks that they're on vacation themselves. Some people, will go stay with family so that they can rent out on a weekend, which helps them, put money in their pocket to spend. So, I think it's something that our town should really explore as an avenue to corner some of that market share from Indian Hill. So I can, if it's the will of our body to include the Airbnb, the Verbo, and, other owner rented short term, I can add a few words there. Okay. I know we did have the next one around the transportation improvement.
Yeah. So so this was the note that came. Okay, and it mentions that Beth was going to provide the link to the Complete Streets current in the rewording in this section.
And then I will catch up with Bill and ask him for the site for that project.
I'm just going to chime in. I am going to do that research right now, okay? While we're
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Beth.
You're welcome.
Like I said, I had seen it. It's kind of like the quote, the request for quote. And again, that gets to the timing. When we look at it, the request for quote is out. It wasn't at our cutoff date. So it appears as though we have the funding for that ready to go, and November 22nd, I think, was the end date for the.
Yeah.
Okay. So I haven't had much of a chance to look into this one yet. Beth had mentioned that she doesn't believe that we have anything on the TIP projects list right now. I did quickly look at the mass.gov site, and I did see that there was a modification to a tip, but I think that was back in, as this said, in the 2019 timeframe. They did an amendment to it, and it was on the list at that point. We'd have to see if there's been any changes or anything that we want to reflect on that. I hadn't seen the resurfacing work. It was only the bridge replacement on West Meadow Road that I had found.
So are you finding that the bill's text is correct, that it was in the 2019? Because
yeah.
I feel like it goes back to Ed.
Yeah, it was probably that in those conversations with Ed that it came out.
Yeah, well, we interviewed Jim. Jim was already on, but I feel like that got introduced under Ed before he left, and that's going back several years. So
yeah,
I can just double check with Bill offline if everyone's okay with that.
Yeah, I think we want it to be accurate, or if where we are, if we need to, if it is only one project, we could update that. That's I think fine.
Okay. Yeah, and obviously, the West Meadow Road Bridge, it's done, so it was in there.
Right. Yeah. So maybe that's it. It was a project. It's no longer active, but yeah.
Oh, so I did check on the state website, Complete Streets. It's there. Townsend, according to the map, which I assume is updated, does have approved prioritization plan, approved policies, but there have been no approved projects. Let me go back through the years. I can check.
That's for Complete Streets.
Complete Streets, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about something else?
That's okay. Yeah.
Oh, were you talking about something else?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
All right. So I sent you I sent you the link to Complete Streets, so you can double check that.
Okay, perfect.
And you're talking about TIP, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. That was something, the link is something that we wanted, so you solved a problem for us, so that's fine.
Okay, great. So you got that. And I also sent age-restricted development in Word.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Okay.
So just a note, Kim, I also sent you the periodic review of the bylaw from the code.
Oh, you got that already. You're on fire this morning to get all those things.
Thank you. That one just really stood out for me, knowing that, that the zoning code has not been formally reviewed, and that's great. If you could get that in there for a recommendation. Yeah,
I think that's a terrific thing to insert.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, because the charter review was fantastic. I mean, that was done. But I think this is just a bylaws or a part of the code that hasn't been, it needs to be revitalized. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Which ones do we have here, Dawn?
Okay, this highlight was the prioritization plan under the Complete Streets, the notes to make sure that it does not already exist.
I just confirmed that it does. So I sent the website.
Yep.
Okay, and not that we're not going to include it, but do you remember the date on that, Beth? It's okay if you can't find it.
Actually, it was. I'm sorry.
Dawn, well, that's okay.
got
We can catch up on that, Beth. It's.
Oh, actually, I have it. Am I unmuted?
Yeah.
Okay, so I do have it. You were right. It is fairly recent. The prioritization plan was approved on April 24th of 2018. So that's great. Fantastic. It's in.
So are you talking about the tip or the complete streets now?
Complete streets.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, as far as I know.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Townsend doesn't have any participation in the TIP program, to my knowledge.
Well, going back to the one that we had for 2019, there were the projects in there.
Right. I can go back and look
yeah.
at that. It was easy to find on the Mass site.
Yeah. Okay. And then what's the next one down there?
The next one is, it looks like this is gig worker and it says 11. We think it should be a footnote, probably.
Okay. Yeah. It was in footnote format when you hovered over it, just for some reason. It was larger font. So I fixed that last night while we were talking.
Okay.
Okay. What do we got next?
Okay. Okay, so this was update with the zoning bylaw, age restricted development.
Okay.
Sounded like Beth just said she just sent that.
Yep.
Section.
Look at that one.
Typo in the section. It looks like the subsidized housing units. You're all set with that one?
Yep, got that one last night. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
And the conversation we had around the zoning is perceived as restrictive in town.
Right. And so Lance had said that he had some conversations with some developers and that they didn't think that ours was any more restrictive than other communities. But when we had FXM out here, and through listening sessions and such, there was that perception that it was difficult and restrictive and that approvals took a while. And so I think Lance's thought was that shouldn't be in there. Lori did talk about her knowing of experiences where it did take a long time and added cost to the projects. And so that's where, I was kind of talking a bit about that these are capturing a point in time information from folks as they were reflecting on what was currently occurring in our town. And that just because it's in the master plan and there's a suggestion, that nothing gets changed before the planning board decides to embark on those discussions, hold their own focus groups, listening sessions, public hearings and whatnot, and get it before town meeting. And then Lori and I both talked a little bit about permitting processes where, there's other strategies in play now where there's one-stop shop permitting and online permitting, and that maybe that's an exploration that could occur. So that just because some people perceived it as not any more restrictive than our neighbors, that might not be good enough, that it might be the whole region. So my feeling is that, these were real comments that came out. We should let it stand.
Right.
And I don't know how the rest of the committee feels.
No, I'm with you. I was in those sessions and the conversation I was hearing, it seemed as though somebody was trying to actively purchase a couple of properties that were close together and do some maybe higher density than building than what was allowed, and he was having the trouble with it. So it seemed as though that piece was there. This does not continue on into the recommendations to being anything more than what you suggested with the permitting process and trying to make it easier for people. Maybe less meetings, combined meetings of certain boards, so that everything is heard at the same time, and there's no bouncing back and forth between making them bounce back and forth between boards and meetings and reviews, more like having a combined session between a couple or three.
Yeah, and I actually was thinking about this after the meeting, and whether it's applicable to town is not what I want to debate, but in a scenario where someone has to have a super majority of members in order to get something passed, and there's a member absent, and it might then decrease the chances of something getting passed because of who would vote in which way. It's like the applicant gets penalized in that format because the board isn't able to have a quorum. And not that we're going to solve that today or discuss it, but that came to mind after our discussion of it. It's like there are so many times where an applicant has to pull back and say, no, we're going to have to go to another meeting because people aren't present, and things happen in life that people can't make a meeting. But that situation came to mind. I don't know how to solve it. I'm not proposing we try to solve it in this master plan, but it was just another example of, things that get in the way that cause the perception. Might not be anybody's fault, but it causes that perception. Oh, wow, this is really an arduous process.
Yeah.
So, okay. Is that both of the comments in there, Don?
That's pretty much yeah. And then the next one is the next comment is there support from the citizens of Townsend for these suggestions? And again, these aren't necessarily the suggestions. These are the information that came out during
the listening
session. So it's kind of like, so it's just documenting those pieces. But while we're in here, I'm going to ask the question, is this requisite spelling proper, or does it need an E?
I think it was spelled wrong. I think I fixed that last night while we were talking.
Okay.
Can I ask a question there about the listening sessions?
Yeah.
My experience on reports is fairly brief. I know you've done this a long time, but I noticed a lot of things that I like to see is quotes from, actual quotes, responses from people that have attended these listening sessions, and they can be added in an appendix so that you can see, the comments, for transparency, not necessarily for transparency, but for documentation rather of what was actually occurring at the listening sessions. Do you have anything like that, quotes or any sort of written, tabulation of the conversations or comments that were made during those sessions? Is that summarized anywhere or documented anywhere?
I was going to say we had hard copy of the MRPC. Did we reports for all of the listening sessions? Did we ever?
Those will go as an attachment.
Those attachment.
Yeah, those had been sent to the planning board before. Some of the comments that would have come out of the interviews that FXM did, or our regulars, we have our documented notes, but not in like a report format, Beth.
Okay, I understand. Yeah. Great. So that would be great if those, if possible, could be included when the master plan is eventually handed over, if you will, or brought to the planning board office. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so that's, I'm not sure of the process that we would go through to get that from FXM. We did have their economic development plan revised. I don't, you did you receive a copy of that, Beth? Did I send that to you?
Yeah, so the
Okay.
specific comments and tabulated, you know, information that was gathered at those listening sessions is not something that you have in your files?
I just have my own personal notes.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. That's fine.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Okay. And I can't tell, Don, if we're, I just can't read the text size, sorry.
Oh,
Are
okay.
we in the section now where we're going to add the line that you can put the accessory apartment within your house? Lance wanted us to just add that line.
Oh, yeah.
Is that where we're at right now?
Yeah, that's where we're at. Yeah. Yeah, we had hit all of them, and this is where we are.
Okay.
Didn't see any notes.
Yeah, so here we just need to add one sentence that says that the bylaw pass allows you to have an in-law in your house, but the restrictions pertain to an accessory structure, an outside structure. And then we're adding, Beth had already provided the documentation for the bylaw itself in Word for us to attach. So I think that
it's trying to, for those people that weren't at the meeting last night, in this area where it looks like the conversation was any structures that had been in place for 10 years or more, but it was felt that this did not fully reflect what the bylaw is trying to say, what the pros and the cons of the bylaw are. So it's being expanded just to make sure there's clarity to what the bylaw is.
Okay. And what do we have next, Dawn? Or does anyone have any questions or comments on that? Sorry.
No. Okay, nothing. We'll get the next typo for the entity. Okay, so let me try.
Okay, and that was just the Y is separate from the parentheses. Once that's changed on the first one, it will flow through the entire table.
The entire table.
Yeah, because it's the heading rows repeat. So
yeah,
that will get fixed.
Okay. Okay, so in this area, we have water department on multiple lines, and the last 2 lines didn't have water department.
Yep, so I just added that.
Yeah. Okay. And on the climate adaptation, that's provided the information for the municipal vulnerability preparedness and hazard mitigation. I was able to find it on the Townsend website and the link to the mass.gov.
Those were the ones you sent me last night, correct?
Yeah.
And I'll make sure, Beth, that it's, I think we've got it stated 2 different ways in the document, and I don't think either one is correct. So we'll make sure that it's reflective of that language that you gave us.
Yeah, thank you very much. I do believe that's going to help our town in terms of grant reviews. The fact that the town has gone through the state process with the EEA and developed that plan. As you know, we've already made 2 grant applications for action grants through the program. So the town is very active and very interested in doing more climate adaptation work and preparing the town for any vulnerability that, you know, we may be facing for climate change. I really think if you could emphasize that, it would really be helpful for the town. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Before we get to the next one that
Yes.
planning board had, I had noticed there's a couple of the TBAs that haven't been changed.
Yep, I think I changed all of those last night when we were talking. I did the search for TBA instead of the to be assigned to Townsend Business Association.
Right. And with the Committee of Businesses, did that get updated also?
Yep.
Okay.
So I think that captured most of the changes. Beth said, do you have any thoughts for anything that we might have missed or not delved into deep enough?
As I mentioned, you know, I feel that it would be, I would just appreciate it, and I guess it's more of a personal thing, is that, you know, that the municipal vulnerability preparedness, the fact that the town, that is the town's most recent updated plan, if you will, planning document on record, and it has been adopted, and it is in, you know, it is part of the state program. I would appreciate a little more highlight on that, only because it does prove as a town that we're, you know, again, committed to climate change, climate adaptation measures, and that we've taken some time to work and focus on that. There is a core team that was put together for that planning process. I don't know if you want to mention that in the climate adaptation section as part of the implementation, but I do have that information for you. The core team is still active in working on the action grants for that program.
Okay.
So, I mean, I can send you information. You can decide whether or not, it's always something we can you know, we can always add in later too. So I think you have, if you have the essentials on the municipal vulnerability preparedness program and the town's commitment to such, it would be helpful. You know, like it's a hard line in there that the town has done this work and that, you know, we're committed to continuing.
Yeah, and I think our intent is to reflect that. So I have no problem if the rest of the committee is okay, you know, working with you, Beth, on like 3 to 5 sentences to pop in there that summarizes that. Does anyone have an objection, and do you guys want to take a specific vote on it?
I have no objection to adding.
No objection either.
Okay. Should we put it to a vote just so it's in our minutes?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I'd need a motion.
Motion to include 3 or 4 sentences for, what is it actually called again, please?
If you just say MVP.
MVP. That Kim and Beth will develop together.
Thank you.
Second.
I will
Thanks,
second.
Cindy. Oh, I got Cindy on the second
Yep,
first.
that's okay. Yeah.
Okay, roll call. Karen,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. So that's unanimous. And yeah, I it's not like we're changing anything. So I'm glad you guys accept that so that we don't have to meet to approve those sentences.
Yeah.
Okay. So if that's it means that we have completed all of the changes asked for by the master plan, by the planning board on the master plan, and that we would be able to have a vote entertained to mark the updates as final and send forward to the planning board for acceptance, and that we would use the date of December 3rd, 2021. Does anyone want to make that motion?
I make a motion to send the completed master plan to the planning board with the revisions and the additions that Kim and Beth will include as of December 3rd and signed by the master plan board.
Can I have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor? Karen?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Cynthia?
Yes.
And I am in favor as well. I do have one thing that I want to bring up. So I've had the opportunity to, I think I mentioned this in the last meeting, take a look at what FXM sent in its revised, and I'm going to credit Judy, I think, on this because the writing seemed similar to what she had sent for her sections before. As you know, I've been pretty vocal that what they had sent over was not entirely useful or on target. I would like to at the same time publicly say that their revision is a much better product. Certainly, it's an unfortunate set of circumstances that we didn't get to use much of this in our in the document itself. We are going to put it in as an appendix, but I think just the additional details are the responses to our RFP questions that weren't really covered in the first one is much more informative. I did take the liberty to mention the master plan committee, which I have in the past anyhow, to the TBA. And I think there's some really good information for TBA to run on in the document now. So I just wanted to put that on record that we did finally get the updated document that had been paid for back in the spring.
Great news.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's nice to have something really tangible. And Carolyn was kind enough to switch it over to Word and send it along to me so that we can attach it in the body of the document. Right. Which, we said right along that we were going to include it, but just letting everyone know that the new document that we're including is actually going to be useful to folks. So, anyone have anything else for the good of the order here? Well, I can't thank everyone enough. It's been a long process, a lot of hard work. You guys stuck it out. We got it done. I think there's, great promise for the use of this document, whether it be for grants or just, moving forward. Hopefully our recommendations of people staying on this and that are being discussed at department head meetings, and that they pull out some, sort of external folks to sort of monitor the progress, will be very useful for our town. Beth, you've been a wonderful kind of cheerleader for the process and source of information. So we appreciate all the extra time that you've put into this as well. We couldn't have tracked down all these documents. Yeah, you did a lot of chasing down things for us. So thanks, Beth. So I'm sad that this is our last meeting in Bill's formal role as the meeting closer. Won't be done by him for our last meeting, but can someone take his spot today?
I would love to take his spot today.
Oh, you take it.
Go
Okay.
ahead, Karen.
Yeah.
I would like to close the meeting at 9:26 a.m. Thank you.
And
I'll second.
thanks, Cindy. All in favor, Karen?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
And I am in favor as well.